Okay.
This is a long video, and I feel like it's needed on our channel for many reasons.
Okay, so basically we're going to catch you guys up on a lot that has been going on in our life. There's a big gap between St. Maarten and where we are now that a lot of people are asking questions about what's been going on. Basically, everyone knows the story that I had got a promising job as an executive chef at a very nice restaurant in St. Maarten. It had the qualities of a golden goose opportunity where I was an executive chef, I was getting paid really good money, and it was in another country. On top of that, a beautiful island. All that glitters is not gold, and that was the case with this. So story time on what happened in St. Maarten. Yeah, I was approached in January about the opportunity of being an executive chef at this restaurant in St. Maarten. I no longer work there, so I can pretty much say what the place is, right? No, the Cabana Beach Bar and Restaurant in St. Maarten. I was approached by the owner's daughter, who came up to me and said, hey, you know, my dad has a restaurant, so I wonder if you could come and run it for me. Run it for him. And I was like, yeah, man, that'd be awesome, you know. That's pretty cool. So basically, after that, we did all the paperwork, or what we thought we did all the paperwork that was necessary for me to go to St. Maarten and start the job. May comes, and the owner of the restaurant actually comes to my graduation because his daughter was graduating at the same time. We meet, we talk, we have several meetings within the time frame that he's here. I give him a tour of what I did at my previous job, and he loved me. Cool, everything's fine. We fly out to St. Maarten. We have no money. We have no money to secure an apartment, eat, or do any of that stuff. All of this was supposed to be supplied by the owner, who is now my boss. He was supposed to find us an apartment, which he did not do, and we ended up having to stay in a resort for a week, which we did not complain about because it was a resort, and you know, room service, all that stuff was perfectly fine and dandy. Then reality started hitting. When I got to the restaurant, it was way worse than what you could imagine. There was no inventory system, there was no management system, there was no front of the house or back of the house manager. For all the people that aren't culinary, you know, term, there were no managers, period. And there was no way of tracking inventory, of knowing what's in the establishment and what's not in the establishment and how we are making money. There was no system set up whatsoever, right? Now, there were about 6 or 7 employees of a restaurant that sits 100 people. I don't know how you can do that. But this is, and I couldn't fathom why, but when I started asking questions, I started realizing how you can do that. When you have employees who do not have a day off, who work 7 days a week and do split shifts, that is how you can run a restaurant with 100 people, that seat 100 people with just 6 employees. Nearly almost every single employee in that establishment did not have a day off. And this was a red flag for me. At this establishment, they didn't have overtime. That was another red flag for me. Basically, going to the extremes, I took it upon myself to create opportunities for this. So we hired new people to come into the restaurant. I made sure that every employee had 2 days off. I redid the schedule. I redid our stock or our inventory closet. I created a new system, making sure everything was labeled, painting, making sure everything was painted, making sure everything was up to code, everything like that. In between of me doing all of this, I never saw my family. I would literally get up at 5 in the morning, get dressed, go to work from 6 to about 12, take a lunch, which I would walk back home and work and take a lunch from probably like 12 to 2, and then come back to the establishment and work from the rest of lunch all the way into close at 10:30, get home around like 11:30. I would work every day, busting my butt. No problem, because I was making good money. The owner had the audacity to come to me and basically sit me down one day, and this was where everything basically flipped. He basically sat me down and told me that I was not worth what he was paying, and that he believes that nothing was getting done. Upon sitting down with him, I tried to find out, okay, what do you mean that nothing is getting done? What do you want that needs to be getting done? Because to me, everything is getting done. You have more people on staff, your food is getting out on time, your food is going out hot, there are no complaints in the restaurant. But to him, what he wanted was a system put in place where there was checklists, where if an employee was to come in, they could easily get the checklist, look at what they're supposed to do, initial off as they do it, and then at the end of the day, they bring it to me, I sign it saying that they completed all of their tasks, and then they be on their way. I had no problem with creating this system, but when you are an executive chef and you do not have an office, you do not have the proper supplies to create lists or checklists or anything like that. The moment you leave the floor, you get called back to the restaurant to make sure that there was the servers are arguing amongst each other, or the kitchens is backed up. There was never any time for me to do anything because I was just one person in an establishment that needed at least 3 managers, and I was just one. So I was barely keeping my head above water myself, but I was doing a damn good job doing it because the only person who complained was the owner. None of the employees complained. They actually were sad to see me go, tears in their eyes, sad to see me go because of how much I made that place better than what it was before I got there.
And this is just not even a month in.
By the way, guys, he came to me about a week and a half into my job telling me that he doesn't believe that he's paying, you know, I'm worth the amount that he's paying me. So now, regardless of the fact that I'm not worth the amount that he's paid me, I have not yet been paid. But in St.Maarten, they get paid monthly. Unless you work construction or in the government, then you get paid weekly. I mean bi-weekly. I have yet to be gotten paid yet. So I have yet to reap from I have yet to reap the benefits from my work or what I've been doing. And here he is telling me that I'm not doing nothing. So I took offense to that, and I started standing up for myself, and I told him, I said, you know, your restaurant was nothing before I got here, and now that I'm here, you're actually holding your own against the competition and against the resort. Before all this happened, before I came along, the restaurant, like I said before, was in bad shape. They were getting
isn't the word.
They were getting terrible. It was terrible. You can go on TripAdvisor if you want to and read them, read the comments or whatever. So basically, they were getting bad reviews through TripAdvisor and through the resort. And the resort was actually trying to get rid of them altogether because it was just not good for the resort. Like, the restaurant was not good for the resort. But when I got there, and I hate to say that, you know, I had all the answers because I didn't. Here I am, executive chef, my first time ever being executive chef. I'm actually learning myself. You feel me? So I did not have all the answers, but I damn sure knew how to find the answer that I was looking for to the question that was asked or to the problem that had arisen. And I was confident in myself that I can get the job done. And I was getting the job done. I just was not doing, and this is what Mammie was letting me know, and she said about the checklist.
This man does not care about you, your talents, your education, whatever you're doing in the kitchen, pushing out food, customers are happy. He wants paperwork, and I told him to give him paperwork. I'm not bashing his employees, but their level of experience and work ethic you cannot have a checklist with them. They're not people that you can just leave and let them work and they get the job done. They're not them type of people.
I would say about 20% of the employees that he had, 20%, which means 1 and 1.5, actually culinary trained and actually certified through food safety and sanitation of the island. All the rest of them did not have the proper training certificate. Sorry guys, we had to change the battery. So basically, let's keep going with the story. We're all basically looking for a job type of people. I'm just looking for a job to hold me over until I find something else, right? So I'm busting my ass. I'm constantly busting my ass. And it gets to the point where he pulls me aside again to talk to me again about how he was basically not going to pay me what we contractedly agreed upon. I don't think that's a word. Sorry if it's not. Agreed upon, he was going to pay me. This time, this is in the middle of the month. Food has gotten short on our side of the on our side. I'm calling home, Mammie's calling home, calling our parents, calling our sisters, calling our family basically to help send us money just so that we can just get to the paycheck. Get to the first paycheck, and then we'll be able to set ourselves up nicely, have money saved, everything like that. We'll never have to bother them again. Now, our family was gracious enough to start sending us money and everything like that. Now, by this time, I ran into a great friend of mine who is also an alumni of the same university that I am. Can I say, you think it's okay if I say her name? Yeah? Yeah. So her name is Makiba. Makiba is both of our little angel in the rough. We did not know she was our angel yet, but she was soon to become our angel. So Makiba came to me during her probation period with the job, and she was working with me, and she started seeing the conditions in which the restaurant truly was, and even she felt like I was being taken advantage of. At this point in time, Makiba introduced me to one of her aunties, who shall remain nameless in this because she knows who she is, because of legal reasons. And basically, sorry, I'm about to get into it now. This is when it starts getting juicy. So whoever has held on to this point, thank you, because it's about to get juicy.
Get your snack.
Now, this person actually worked with the government of St. Maarten, of the island of St. Maarten, and she happened to hear what I was going through Makiba, and she wanted to talk to me personally. And when I talked to her, she brought me up on some things called the St. Maarten, the labor department, basically. And the labor department has rules and regulations put in place for employees and the employer so that neither one of them is taken advantage of. Rules like such: an employee is only allowed to work 40 hours a week. The hours that are over 40 hours is considered overtime, and the employee must be paid for such. After an employee is only allowed to work 8 hours a day. After an 8-hour period, the employee must go home for 8 hours before returning back to work the next day or after the 8 hours. An employee is guaranteed, has to have 2 days off. And the rules kept going on and on as such. Now at this point in my time, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, I've been working 16-hour days. I have never received a day off. When I go home for 2 hours and then I come back to work. And if I go home for the end of the day, I make sure I'm actually back at work after like 5 or 6 hours. So basically breaching all of the rules and regulations that the island itself has to protect employees. And I see why they have them, because of crooked people like the supervisor that I had, the owner of the restaurant that I had. Now, before we got there, a lot of people were talking about what the owner's daughter had showed us around the island, and she let us know, like, a lot of people have it out for them, for their family. Now the island is only so big, so certain families, the last name have, you know, attention with that name. And we were thinking that, oh, okay, it's because they have money. People try to come for them because they have money, you know, give us the money that you owe us, blase, blase, blase. But after a couple of weeks, we started seeing that it's not because y'all have money, it's because you guys are crooks. And because you guys don't know how to treat people and don't know how to treat people who work for you, nor people who just trying to have it out for you, who basically trying to help you out. Here I am, an American, who left my good Wi-Fi, left our good rules and regulations and laws, good air conditioning, power, electricity, running water, food, protection, security, all of that. Sacrifice all that to come to St. Maarten to help out your failing restaurant. And within 2 weeks of me being there, positive reviews, food is wonderful, the restaurant has no complaints. The guests of your catered events, birthdays, surprise birthday parties, anniversaries, proposals, no one has ever had a complaint. Then you come to me and say that I'm not doing my job right. You have people who are sitting here telling you, I have proof, factual, black and white proof to show you that I am doing what I am supposed to be doing for your restaurant. And just because you don't have the money to pay me what we agreed upon, you try to make it seem like I am the problem, when it necessarily it was him.
Miscalculated or balanced his account wrong, so he wasn't be able to pay him.
This is where I stood up and told my supervisor, you are going to pay me what we have agreed on paying, and if you don't, I will be going down to the Division of Labor. Period. That's it. And at this point, he was trying to jip me and say, you know, I'm not going to pay you what I can and what I can't pay you, blah, 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 blah. Talking through the weeds. After a couple of days have gone by, I'm starting to get antsy because I need to be getting paid. And this is when I found out another rule. St. Maarten employers have until 1 day before the last day of the month to pay their employees. So if the last day of the month is the 31st, they have until the 30th to pay their employees. As I went to Mr. to tell him this, he goes and tells me, oh, no, I know the law. And the law says I have until the 2nd of the beginning of the month to pay you. I then proceeded to pull out a copy of the rules and regulations from the Division of Labor and had it circled where it says he has until he has until 1 day before the end of the month to pay me. And he goes, oh, I don't need to see that. I know the rules, you know, this and that, third, fourth, and fifth. Now at this point, I am recording him saying these things. Let's
know why. He left out a few things. Since we got there, like since Kyle had started working there, Kyle asked him for his worker's permit. He said, okay, I'm having my governor friend do it. I'm like, okay, why can't he just go to the regular? This is me back in America saying this. Why can't he just go
ex-governor friend
to just, why can't you just go like a regular person and apply? When we get there, Kyle asks, okay, I need my worker's permit. I need to get signed up for insurance. You know, typical your new hire processing paperwork. And then he asked for his signed contract. When his daughter took us to his office to sign the contract, we wanted a copy of it because at this point he has not received any of these things and he has asked him numerous times for it. And then at this point, it's a real shaky situation where this man's not trying to pay, so we start recording ourselves for our protection because I felt like he was started trying to frame Kyle. I told Kyle, I feel like this man's trying to frame you. You may continue now.
Now, on the case of framing me, now he basically gave me a piece of paper that he wanted me to sign that tells me that he is writing me up because of certain situations that have happened in the restaurant. For example, food poisoning. Establishment was not up and running when I got there. The hoods needed to be cleaned. Every day the kitchen reaches 105 degrees. The kitchen reaches 105 degrees. Simply because of the fact that his hoods were not cleaned. So when I first got there, one of my first actions were to clean the hoods and clean the kitchen and organize the kitchen. Like any chef would, walking into an establishment that's not their own, they would want to implement a system that they are comfortable with. So I asked him, I said, we need to clean the hoods. He did not give me a number to anyone on the island who cleans hoods. Now, I've never been on the island. I don't even have an island number. So I have to rely on him to call people to come clean the hoods. A week goes by. He comes to me, Kyle, why aren't the hoods cleaned? With you almost every day talking to you about the hoods and how you need to call someone to get them. Oh yeah, the guy's supposed to be coming out. He didn't come out yet? No man has not been out here to clean any hoods, obviously. So I took it upon myself to get the number from him, go up in his office and call the hoods people, set up an appointment. We emailed each other back. He emailed me the invoice. Mr. signed off on the invoice, and we shut down the kitchen for the afternoon, the morning and the afternoon to clean the hoods. Now, while we were cleaning the hoods, we were still in the restaurant cleaning everything else. White glove cleaning, which means that if I put on a white glove and wipe the counter, there should be no dirt on the glove. So we get that situated. Next thing that happens, the refrigerator and the freezers don't freeze properly because the kitchen is so hot. The kitchen is 105 degrees. As soon as you open up the refrigerator door, the thermometer drastically rises. The refrigerators were constantly on 70 degrees when it should be at 41 and below. And the freezers were constantly at 60 to 70 degrees also when they should be at 0 to and below. Period. Now, this is a serious situation because if you cannot store your food properly, this leads to foodborne illness. We all know this. People get sick. Now, I'm sitting here telling Mr. freezers and refrigerators are broken. Oh, yeah, I got a guy coming out. Don't worry, he's coming out, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we need to stop serving food because your food is not properly cooled and frozen. Oh, no, we can't. No, food's fine. We cook it how we cook it, and trust me, it's fine, blah, 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 blah. You're telling the chef of your restaurant who has been trained for years and has experience under their belt that your food is fine being stored at 70 degrees.
You must have put your food outside. What the hell?
Raw food, uncooked. Now, anyone who cooks chicken wings, because one of the dishes was chicken wings, I'm going to give you an example of one of the dishes of how they used to cook it. Chicken wings. Buffalo chicken wings. Is this a buffalo chicken wing? You be the judge. I take the chicken wing. I season it with complete seasoning, teriyaki glaze, and pepper. And that's it. I season it. Then I proceed to bake it in the oven until it is finished. After that, I take the chicken, I put it into the oven and let it bake until it is done cooking. After it is done cooking, I take it out and let it sit to cool. God knows how long it sits in a kitchen that is 105 degrees. Is it going to cool properly? No. Then I proceed to individually bag the chicken 6 wings at a time. Now at this point they're fully cooked. Juices have all run out. The chicken is not juicy anymore because they fully cooked the chicken. They put it in the bag. Now chicken that's plump and juicy has now shrank. I then store them into the refrigerator that is at 70 degrees. And then when an order of chicken wings come in, I take the chicken out, I throw them into the deep fryer, heat them up, and then place them on a plate with barbecue sauce. At what point did you hear me say I put buffalo sauce on the chicken wing?
We got barbecue chicken dip.
That's their buffalo chicken wing. And when I saw it, I was like, that's not a buffalo, that's not a buffalo chicken wing. So I re-implemented a new system just for the chicken wings. And this is what I did. We take the raw chicken wing, we season it, we store it away. We season it, we put 6 in a bag, individually pack it, and store it away. When we get an order, we pull the chicken out, we take it through the breading procedure, and then we fry it. We fry it for 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 45 seconds. The chicken wing is done. After that, chicken wing is fully cooked. Then we take it out and toss the chicken wing in a homemade sriracha buffalo sauce. After that, we put it with a couple of sticks of celery, our house-made ranch, and send it out the window. That was the new wing. Everybody loved it. Had no problems. And we took that wing and did it where we had a sriracha buffalo, a jerk, and a regular barbecue, and then just a regular plain wing. This is the type of implementations that the new stuff that I did to the restaurant that helped raise its caliber and reviews. But to him, I wasn't doing enough. To start talking about the dirt that had been starting to come up. One day I sat down with Mr. Wilford, and he goes, I'm going to pay you half of what we agreed upon. I'm going to pay you what we agreed upon. I was going to pay you in the past.
Work for you.
And at this point, I have a apartment whose rent is based off of what I get paid. I have bills which are all based off of what I get paid. And at this point, he's telling me that he's going to pay me half. That's when I looked at him dead in his face and I said, Mr. Wilford, if you do not pay me the full amount of which we agreed upon, I will go down to the Division of Labor and and file a complaint, and we will go and proceed on from that point on. At this point, I go home and I tell Mammie what is up. Mammie then tells me, Kyle, go to work your 10 hours. At 5 hours, take your break, go back to work for 5 hours, do nothing but the checklist, and bring your butt home. So I proceeded to do that. Have proof. Here's your checklist. Here's your checklist for the cooks, for the kitchen help, for the dishwashers, list for the runners. Still not satisfied. One day, the health inspector and a inspector of labor popped up at the restaurant and got in everybody's asses, even mine. Swears up and down that I called them. Here I am, getting my ass dug in by the inspector of labor and the health inspector, and you think I called them when you have done wrong, not by me, but by all of your employees. So, and they know the Division of Labor rules better than I do, so they would have said something before I would have. With that paranoia floating around in his head, he started trying to look for ways to fire me, because once again, you cannot fire anyone just cause, like in Florida. Camera died again. Sorry, it's a long story. At this point, he was being paranoid and looking for ways to fire me. With that, he started trying to gain evidence on things to fire me with food poisoning,
the refrigerator and freezer.
Refrigerator and freezer, not knowing how to properly cost out a menu, just little things to just trying to. What did I leave off on?
You were talking about him building the case on you. So
okay, so basically he built the case on us. Now, with him building the case on me, he approached me at the end of my shift one day and basically tried to make me sign it. I did not sign it because at this point he's trying to get me fired, and I was advised not to sign anything that he tries to give me. At this point, I am still asking him for my signed contract, I am still asking him for my worker's permit, and I am still asking for my insurance papers, which have yet been given to me, and this is 1 month into working. So at this point, I went down to the Division of Labor, and I talked to them, and I tried to find out what I could do. The division.
No. He gave you that letter about not coming back to the premises.
No, that was after.
Oh, okay.
So I go to the Division of Labor. They basically tell us to cut our losses and move back home. But they don't know that A, I'm an American. Before I learned to walk, I know my rights. Just don't take no for an answer. All of a sudden, we started getting very, very late notice events. And by late notice, I mean the day of. As I walk into work, they will let me know that we have an event that night. Now, our kitchen is this big. very, very tiny. There was no way in order to serve the restaurant and also do an event that was last minute, as in the day of I find out that I need to prep and all of this stuff, and I only have 2 cooks, that we're going to be able to do this. So at the staff meeting, I brought it up that what is the reasoning behind these last minute events. He said that if the restaurant is going to need to make money, if the restaurant needs to make money, I'm not going to say no to making money. So it's on you guys to just do what you need to do. I'll let him know that all that you're doing is adding stress upon your already stressed out establishment, which doesn't make any sense, but we'll get the job done, no worries. Thinking that that was going to be the only time that this was going to happen. Nope, the next day I had another event, and then the day after that I had another last minute event. Basically, they're not telling me that I have events until the day of, even though they know way prior till, because they are trying to get me out the door. But once again, I'm knocking them out left, right, left, right. Remember back when I said that I got chewed out for the health inspector, by the health inspector when they came? The reason why I got chewed out is because the owner's wife was in the kitchen with no hairnet on, open-toed shoes, no proper uniform, no apron, around the food cooking. Which I'm not going to tell the owner's wife to leave the kitchen, but the health inspector let me know that I was within my rights and had all the authority to make sure that if there is no one in the kitchen that is authorized to be in the kitchen, that they need to get out. So, on one of the late night events where I was busy bustling about, busting my ass to make sure that all the food is out and for the restaurant and for the event, she decides to stroll in the kitchen as usual. Now, I took it upon myself to tell this older woman, because I respect my elders, I said, you have to may you please leave the kitchen. My words exactly. And out of nowhere, she starts cussing. And when I mean cussing, I mean cussing. Who the F you think you are to tell me that you're gonna get out of my effing kitchen? This is my effing kitchen. Who the fuck you think you are? Blah, 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 blah. And now, the whole time, I'm walking around still making sure that the food is going and that production is not stopping while she's cussing and carrying on. And I'm just telling her, can you please leave the kitchen? Can you please leave the kitchen? We just got reprimanded for the health inspector because of you being in the kitchen, so can you please leave the kitchen? After that whole scuffle, she proceeds to come up to me and slams the paper down on the table, and she goes, I need to know what goes in what, blah, 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 blah. So I take a pencil, I write down what it is, I hand her the paper, she leaves. Now, after all the food is out to the banquet, the restaurant straight, I pack up and I go home. All of a sudden, I get a text message from him saying I am not allowed to be within 100 feet of the premises, basically banning me from the restaurant, from the whole establishment, their head chef. They banned me from the restaurant because of my threatening behavior. Now, we have 4 eyewitnesses saying that I was not threatening in any way, possible, shape, or form. That the threatening one was actually his wife. Boom, whatever that. Afterwards, I could not return to work. Little known, you know, I really felt like God was looking out for us, because our next door neighbors, one was a prosecutor and the other one was a lawyer. And she was actually an attorney for employment. She was an employment lawyer. So after explaining my case to them, these people went above and beyond to help us out. They were going to pay our rent. They were trying to make us stay in the country to fight. They were going to pay our rent. They were going to make sure that we was like straight with any type of money issue. They allowed us to use the Wi-Fi password, because at this point we still did not have Wi-Fi, because she went so far to actually to help us get a free attorney to handle our case. Told us exactly what to do. Both of them were on their phones, on their laptop, calling up their friends. One of them, our neighbor, the prosecutor, actually knew the inspector general, who was like the head of all inspections, and he let us know that this is not the first time his name has actually come up with having issues. And the whole time we sitting there, our mind is being blown, because everybody on the island that we talked to knew about Mr. in his crookedness. And the fact that we did not know anyone on the island, and now that we do, everyone was just like, why are you working for that man? Why are you doing this for that man? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, 1 and 1 equals 2 and everything's starting to make sense. So the lawyer had let me know that you need to message him back and let him know that you will be to work tomorrow unless he gives you a signed copy of termination or suspension. And if he gives you a signed copy of suspension, he's going to let you know your return date and why you are being suspended. You know, gracefully went and text Mr. WhatsApped him the message and fell asleep. So the next day we wake up, I check my email, and there it is, a letter of termination based on my threatening behavior. So I take this to the lawyers, and she was like, okay, this is great. This is what you needed. This is all that you needed. So now I want you to go down, you know, to the legal and do all your legal business. And now at this point, I still have not been paid. It is the end of the month, and it's time to pay rent, it's time to pay electricity, it's time to pay water. At this point, me and Mammie are debating whether we should go back home and be secure or stay in the States and face reoccurring bills, which we don't have any money. He hasn't paid me yet, and I don't have a job anymore. While talking to my lawyers, our upstairs neighbor actually overheard me. He owns his own, he had 2 restaurants on the island, and he was American, which was even better. He hit me up and he was like, hey, I overheard your story, man. He was like, you was second chef down there. He's like, why don't you just come work for me? And I was just like, really? And he was like, yeah. So that day he drove me to the restaurant and showed me everything, seen if I like it, which I didn't like it. And I know it's kind of ironic, like, why didn't you like it? This is a blessing, but I really didn't like. At that point, I was just paranoid of anyone on the island that was trying to offer me a job. We had a couple of angels. Makiba's mother, and the one who shall not be named, she know who she is, were our angels. Their family, the power that they had to help us out, to do everything that they did, we were able to get back home. No, our family bought our airplane tickets. Makiba's mother paid for our luggage, got us through security, held the plane.
I didn't vlog that much that day when we was leaving, but we were like minutes, maybe seconds from missing our flight. She held, because she worked at the airport, she held security. She pushed us through TSA. Like, it was just a whirlwind. We felt like it was Beyonce or something walking through that.
When I tell y'all, so after I got terminated, it was like the world lifted off my shoulder. Mr. Thank you.
Like, it felt like,
because
that month felt like
that month was the longest time of my life. If that month felt like it was literally 3 years. I learned so much in that 1 month that it made me even stronger to who I am today. So after I got my termination letter, the one who shall not be named, our mystery angel, took us all around the island. I've never had so much fun in my life except for those last 2 days we were there. In 48 hours, they took us around the whole island. We saw other islands that were very close to us. We ate whole snapper. We had guava berry rum from like this 70-year-old woman who made it by hand. And we had homemade pizza from another 70-year-old plus woman who drives like a bat out of hell. Like, this lady can drive. This lady is 70 plus and was pushing the car. Drinks. We had this salsa that was the best salsa or chutney or whatever you want to call it. Makiba's auntie made for us. It was the, oh my, you can put it on anything. That one rotten, decaying, filthy, shitted upon egg did not spoil the island for us because of we call our guardian angels that God placed for us there on the island. They helped us out immensely, and we love them, and they are technically our family. They did not want us to leave, to the point where they actually wanted to cancel our plane tickets and be like, no, y'all not leaving. And then we're still having our wedding there at the end, June 8th. To wrap this whole story up, I became very depressed when I got back home. Mammie saw it, my mom saw it, my sister saw it. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like, was this what I was supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be cooking? Do I have actually what it takes to do this? And I was just feeling like a piece of shit, honestly. And that's when my sister Janelle had texted me something, and it really hit me. She had said, for you to sell everything and move to another country all on a dream take your family with you, all in a dream to hope to better yourself for your family. That is the power of your ancestors. And that is the blood that runs through your veins. And that hit me and made me realize that when people say you learn from your mistakes and from your failures, that's when I said thank you for allowing this to happen. Because from this, I am no longer afraid of confrontation. I am no longer afraid to voice my opinion. I am no longer afraid to allow someone to push me to do things the way that they want to do it. I do it the way that I want to do it. I also thank God for my shortcomings, because without them, I would not be where I am today. Mammie has been supportive to me and for our family, because honestly, it was like the 10th round in boxing, or the 9th round. I don't know how many rounds I'm in boxing. I don't watch boxing. But it was the last round of boxing, and I'm getting my ass kicked. And Mammie's just in my corner going, "You can do it, Rocky. You can do it. Come on, Rocky. You can do it." And honestly, we got through it.
Rocky.
Mammie looked at me and said, "Kyle, we've been through worse." And that let me know right then and now that I have a true soldier on my arm, and I made the right decision when I did place the ring on her finger. But now that we are back in the States, life doesn't slow down. And right now we are in a very tough position, but we are seeing ourselves out of it. I've had several interviews, several job opportunities, and I've accepted 2 of them, but they don't start till later on in the fall, because they're around the university. So fam, basically what I want to say and what I want to do is use this story to encourage the people who want to travel abroad to, one, be careful and make sure that you have all of your paperwork before you get there, signed copies, or if you have the original, whatever, have it with you before you get over there, because not everybody in the world that brings you abroad has your best interests. That
man was trying to get slaves. That man is a slave master. He owns a plantation. And I feel like I'm gonna do a separate, because this video is gonna be long with Kyle's perspective. I think I'm gonna do my perspective. My perspective may be a little uncut, like
but
maybe just ranting.
But the truth is that this does not stop me in any type of way. This actually has encouraged me and motivated me to keep going. And lately we just been updated on, you know, the situation with this restaurant, and it has been closed for several days because he doesn't have anyone to cook in it. No chefs or no cooks, because when I left, a lot of the cooks were like, "Kyle, if you leave, I'm leaving." The proof is in the pudding. So at the end of the day, even if he had cooks there, that's his headache. It's no longer my headache anymore, and I can move on to do something more constructive with my time. I felt like God had me there for a reason, and then he plucked me. And if it had nothing to even do with God, then I was there and I learned everything I need to learn, and it's time to move on. But
and I'm glad it happened the first month. That's what I keep saying. I'm glad this happened the first month, and it wasn't the 6th or like the 4th. It happened the first month. So it felt like 3 years, but in real life it was only a month. End of the day, we didn't say how it ended. He ended up paying his money.
So basically how it ended was that he ended up paying me what we originally agreed upon. He ended up paying me for my month of work, and when we went in to basically sign a receipt of him paying me, you can tell he looked defeated.
Yeah, he didn't want to say anything.
He didn't want to talk to me.
He was like, "Let me just let you."
He had a very low voice. Like he was like, "I just want you to come sign." Like he wasn't like how he always was. He looked very like, "Okay, whatever. Well, you know, I can't." He basically could not get over on me like he gets over on his employees.
That's exactly what it was. He got what he deserved. Okay.
But now we are back in the States and we are safe. We are home. The one thing I think I walked away with coming from St.Maarten was a stronger backbone, period. At this point, I don't take no shit from anybody. I simply just don't give a ish anymore. I know I've been cussing earlier, but I'm trying not to cuss anymore because that's what St.Maarten brought out of me, was a lot of cussing.
We'll keep you guys updated.
We'll keep y'all updated.
The vlogs, how we rebuild our life from this disaster.
We're at zero. We live with my mom.
We're back at home.
We're back at home. We live with my mom. My mom has been gracious enough to move us back in, and I've hit the ground running. I've started getting jobs and saving up money and doing what we need to do. So all I say, guys, keep us in your prayers. Cheer us on, because this ain't nothing but the beginning. Because
we're beginning again.
We're beginning again.
Bye guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope You're not in tears. Your computer's still intact. Your phone's still intact.
I don't think they in tears, but I know a couple people gonna be upset. I know a couple people gonna be upset. And honestly, when y'all listen to Mammie's side of the story, it'll probably be more in detail because I'm not a detailed person.
Yeah, this video is really too long. I gotta edit all this crap. Bye.